Get you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it! You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
He'll hear you.
And now for something completely different.
Yes, Archie, I was just coming.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and
Wax off, left hand.
It's an inanimate fucking
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up.
Ooh, what a funky song.
That's a great song. I love it.
Great
Funky
intro for a
song.
show that's very, very good.
Oh, that's true.
So, welcome to The Real Boys, a show where three guys talk about the movies of eight people who are no longer with us. They're all dead.
Rest in
Besides
pieces.
the three of us. It was actually from the very beginning a battle royale type.
Mhm.
There can only be one at the end, but we Hunger Games teamed up and we got the rest of them and decided to just stay where we were and keep this podcast rolling at least till the end. And then at the end, I think Dylan said that he was going to
Whoa!
commit
Dylan has a very.
seppuku?
I want to
whoa,
take
whoa,
this
whoa, whoa.
opportunity
Dylan,
to announce.
wait. Dylan has. I didn't want to interrupt Dylan. I'm sorry, but Dylan has a very special message that he would like to tell people. So whenever you're ready, Dylan, you could.
Okay, I'm not ready yet. Go ahead, Michael.
Okay. So today,
Michael, I think this is a very good time for Dylan, who has a very important message, to go ahead and say that message.
Very dull.
Whenever he
half
wants
star.
to, really. Whenever he
Watched
wants
this whilst doing politics homework and enjoyed the homework more. Michael, continue.
That's
That's called a cold open.
Dylan is
Or an open with
here,
a cold.
and he has some reviews of this movie. And honestly, this is the first time that I've ever sort of objectively watched this movie.
I thought you were going to say host a show.
I thought you were going to say this is the first time you've ever watched this movie, and I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
good work.
No, it was the first time I've ever objectively watched this movie. And I still thought it was real good. As
You're
long
wrong.
as as long as there wasn't any action going on.
So like 90 of the 93 minutes of this movie. It was like, hey, maybe we should go into the cellar and talk about stuff for quite a while.
Yeah,
No, let's go in this
there's-
room and talk about stuff for a little bit.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of tension, I think.
You know what it doesn't have a lot of?
It doesn't have a lot of good acting when they're trying to hit zombies with crowbars.
Oh, yeah.
It doesn't have very
3
good
feet away.
acting when they are throwing punches and pretending to get punched.
Yep.
Um,
Also, I
And-
didn't care if, except for the main guy, Ben, I did not care if any of these people died. I didn't care if they even finished their sentences. I'm like, Barbara, shut up.
Yeah,
Nobody
Barbara's-
cares, Barbara. Shut
Barbara's
up.
awful.
And then I'm like, and then Ben hits her. I'm like, oh, okay, well, I didn't want that to happen necessarily.
One
Yeah.
star. Everyone in this movie, hella annoying.
That's true. Except for Ben, everybody in this movie is annoying. It starts in the most annoying way ever. It starts with like the slowest, most annoying car ride through a graveyard, which I didn't think you could have an annoying, slow, meandering car ride through a graveyard. But then it comes to this guy who's just bitching because he doesn't know
how are you driving through a graveyard?
Yeah, you have to drive
Haphazardly.
slow. No,
Yeah.
I'm not saying go fast. I'm just saying for even driving through a graveyard, this seems boring and slow. I'm like, Oh my God. And then he's like, I can't believe you're making me drive 6 hours to see my dead father. My mom is going to be so pissed if I can't lie. Do you have any candy, by the way? No, God, I fucking hate this drive. I hate everything. Why is my dad not alive anymore? Wait, the radio's messing up. That's boring anyway. I'm going to complain about my dead father.
It is sort of his own fault because...
Dude, just
as
lie.
far as I
Just
can
lie.
tell, there's no reason that they do actually have to go make that drive. They could have just taken that. They could have just taken that cross wreath thing and put it in the trunk, and then
thrown it in the trash.
Went out and gotten dinner. Yeah.
They could have chucked it in the trash like I did on my first paper route, and then said, "Look, I did it. I drove for hours. Dad's fine. Don't worry, Mom. Give me some more candy. And by the way, don't talk to Barbara. She is an annoying storyteller."
Yeah, she's kind of the worst. I was surprised. Well, I wasn't surprised, but like I said, I watched the remake of this this year, and I was pleasantly surprised at what they did with Barbara, because I've only seen the remake once. And
is the remake where they put her in color? Or is the remake where it's in 3D for some reason?
No, everything. It's the one where it's in color. It's the Tony Todd one, and they actually like have her sort of get over her trauma from seeing her brother get killed, and she ends up being sort of the hero of that one. Unlike this one, where she's just catatonic the entire time.
Oh man,
doesn't say much. Doesn't do much.
Well,
she doesn't say much, but when she does say stuff.
Yeah, she definitely makes noise that is sometimes words, but you're like, I don't even care what you're saying. She's like, and then there was a guy, and then my brother said there's a guy, and then we both said, look, there's a guy.
Well, I mean, to be fair to Barbara,
nope, don't.
She did just see her brother get killed by some weirdo, like after getting attacked in the graveyard, and then there are these like mindless ghouls all over the place that she sort of has to deal with. I would imagine, and it doesn't seem like it seems like she's sort of sheltered to begin with, and is being protected by her big brother probably most of her life. So she probably doesn't have to deal with a lot of intense situations. So when she has a situation this intense to deal with, she doesn't handle it very well.
Yeah, I guess
to put it lightly.
I didn't mean to derail the very beginning of this show.
It's
I guess
fine.
It's fine. We should introduce mostly what we're doing, what we're talking about.
Say the title of the movie.
Oh, we're talking about the 1968 Night of the Living Dead, the sort of the first modern zombie movie.
Yeah.
And again, this is a very... I didn't pick... Most of my picks weren't like personal picks. They were just movies that I enjoy from front to back. I think there's a lot of stuff in here that I do enjoy objectively, but this is... I mean, when I was a small kid, I was scared to death of everything. I was a very scared little kid. And my mom sort of went, this isn't right. I need to get you to stop being afraid of everything. So she sat there and watched she watched this movie with me.
I'm tired of my 15-year-old baby.
I was like 8 years old.
I'm tired of my 8-year-old baby.
But like, I would see it. There was, I remember sort of the catalyst for this was that I saw a commercial for one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies where Leatherface goes up to this lake and then like a zombie hand comes out like Excalibur holding the chainsaw and she tosses it to him. And I like cried and ran out of the room. And and I was like, all right. So I guess she was like, you know, whatever. We need to get this kid off of, and 80s parenting meant let's immerse this child in this horror movie that for 1985 or whatever was pretty scary. 1986 when I watched it.
Okay. That's what I was thinking. I'm like, wait a minute.
No, I wasn't 7 when this came out.
I just want to read this one review. 1 star. Could really see the patriarchy shining through this movie. Heart.
That's a good one.
Or sorry, I don't know if it's heart or less than 3 because there are less than 3 women in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's that last one.
The weird thing about this movie is that everything about this movie is good. The concept, the designs, the finished product, like everything is really good. It started a genre pretty much. It created tropes for every zombie movie moving forward. The problem is that in itself, it's not good. The things that make this movie very good are the thought process you have to put into it. Like when you say like, oh, it's covering some really cool cultural grounds by having, a black man who spends his entire life fearsome of a white community. Now, when zombies come, all the white community is reliant on the one black man who now is no longer scared to save the day, which makes sense. Until you realize that the casting wasn't intentional. It was originally intended to be a white man. And when they did cast a black guy, they're like, let's not change any of this. Even though he said specifically, I would like this role to be rewritten so that I'm not so angry. I don't see the need in me hitting Barbara. I do not want to portray another angry black man. And they thought being a hip writing group that they were, they're like, no, leave it as is, and it'll be a cool flop. Let's have a black man play a white man, which is, smart. Then you think, okay, it's kind of a cool way to look at capitalism. Like consumerism is really just eating at us, and we really can't get away from it. You can't turn the radio on, you can't do this, you can't do that without it just being oppressive in your face. Until you realize that this movie wasn't designed to be a zombie movie, but was designed to be an alien movie where the aliens were just kind of taking over people's brains and making them go wild. They couldn't really figure out a way to do that. They couldn't think of they had no budget whatsoever, and they couldn't think of a cool way to show that. So they kept thinking about, all right, what will be the grossest thing known to man? And they go, what if a satellite from NASA caused dead people to rise? And they're like, all right, fine. And they kind of went down the same way like a Hitchcockian thing went, where it was so clever and so new and terrifying at the time. Now, the thing is, like, this is 1 year before the MPAA could even allow ratings. There was no rating system. This movie was so gory that it was considered pornographic. And there were 8-year-old kids. There were 8-year-old kids that were going to see this movie because up until this movie, horror was a schlocky B-rated thing. Horror was just kind of like, blah, blah, I'm a vampire, I'm blood, until George Romero did this. And the coolest thing that I found in doing research for this was the Thumb Guys. What's the Thumb Guys? What's his name? Ebert, right? So, Roger Ebert.
Umberto?
Yes, Umberto. So Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times, they tried to theater owners and parents who allowed children access to the film, and there was people that said, I don't think the youngest kids really even knew what hit them. They were so used to going to movies and seeing some horror movies before, but this was something else. They said throughout the movie, the kids were so stunned. There was complete silence, and the movie had stopped being delightfully scary about halfway through and had become unexpectedly terrifying. There was a little girl across the aisle from me. This is by Roger Ebert. She was maybe 9 years old, who was sitting very still in her seat and slowly started crying. I had to remember what sort of effect this movie might have on you when you're 6 or 7. But try to remember, at that age, kids who take the event on the screen seriously and they identify fiercely with their hero when the hero is killed, it's not an unhappy ending, but a tragic one. Nobody got out alive. It's just over. And kids, kids that were just trying to have some fun, we're just like, nobody makes it out. There's no real hero, and it's a gore fest. So the things about this movie are so much cooler than the movie.
Yeah, and as I'm watching this, I was like, man, this sucks. That like the whole time, Ben's like, no, we're not going down in the basement. We're gonna die if we go down in the basement. We have to do it this way. and then fucking he ends up in the basement anyway, being the only one who survives through the night by going into the basement and locking himself in, like Cooper was saying through the entire movie. I can see where people would say that this is boring, but for me, it's a movie about beats. Like, none of the beats are long enough to really get boring. Can I just
Will you just read out loud what Mr. Red
Night of the Living
says?
Dead is a great movie, has always been in my top 10, could be called one of the most influential films of all time solely by counting the number of other films it plays on TVs in the background.
True.
And yeah, I mean, you said it in the beginning. It's probably the most influential like horror movie ever. And it's the beats. Just it's like the graveyard, and then she escapes into the house. Ben shows up. They board up the house. The people come in from the people come up from the attic. They have a fight. You know, they figure out what's going on. Then it's out to the gas pump. The whole gas pump thing happens. It's just like. It's always moving.
You're saying it in a way that it sounds like it's always moving, except it's not.
It's also 93 minutes long.
Counterpoint, this review found.
The original cut was well over 2 hours long, and the producer said it's too boring. And they made him cut over 30 minutes. But Dylan has a very relevant comment about this.
Yes. Okay. 1 star. And I'm going to read this with the punctuation as included in the review. This movie is so poorly made, fuck me, it looks so outdated and old. Jesus Christ, just watch any Conjuring movie. So much better.
I mean, you really can't.
Poignant.
But, so here's the thing. Red Flanagan made one good point and one point that I personally cannot agree with. I don't think this movie is a great movie. I do think it is very influential. I think that it's probably in a top 10 zombie movie. The problem for me, though, is that I'm not like a big horror fan without there being relevance to the horror. Now, granted, this movie is 60 years old, which is beautiful. And also, to touch on one of his comments, that solely by counting the number of other films that plays on TV, there's a pretty specific reason this movie gets played a lot, and I'll tell you why. It's because George Romero. Well, no, George Romero, when he actually titled this film, he titled it Night of the Flesh Eaters. When the film was delivered to Walter Reed, the people discovered that there was an earlier film called The Flesh Eaters in 1964. Walter Reed and his company decided on their own, without talking to Romero, to change the title to Night of the Living Dead. When the new title was prepared for the film itself, as a result, they failed to realize that the copyright notice that appeared on the screen was for the original title, not Night of the Living Dead. So technically, by him doing this, they immediately put this film into public domain, which means anyone could do whatever they wanted with this film because there was no actual film that was copywritten. So that's why a lot of people get the tropes to use it. That's why a lot of films can have it in the background of certain things, because it is cool. The score is 100% public domain and was public domain when they got it. But I don't like The Walking Dead. And it's not because of like the gore. I like the gore. I'm cool with gore. The Walking Dead to me just seems a lot of Red Flanagan says, I know about the copyright issue, but people chose the movie also because it's iconic, not just public domain. I mean, it's true. It is an iconic looking movie. I mean, when you see a black and white zombie movie, most likely you're thinking of this movie, and any references to that bring you back to this. What I didn't realize is that I've never actually seen this movie wholly. I've only seen a lot of bits of it, because this is the first in a 6-series set that Romero did, and also part of a 10-series set that the company themselves did. And then it was also rebooted and remastered. It has if you have a Roku or any device that streams, type in Night of the Living Dead and see if you can actually find the original. I bet you can't. I bet you can find the reanimated version, which came out in 1989. You can probably find a remastered version that came out in 1990. You can find a weird version that Elvira talks over that came out in 1970 for some reason. You can find the one that I had to watch, which was on Amazon Prime, was the one that was in color, which is fine because it was pretty much the exact same as the original, just colorized. There was like one extra scene added to it. My problem with this movie is it's just meandering, and I think it's because they didn't really know what they were doing when they filmed it. A lot of the script was just improv, but that doesn't matter because it's about legacy. And the reason I like Star Wars is because of legacy. You know, when you see like certain things, you're like, okay, this has just always been with me. I don't have this movie that's always been with me, so I can't resonate with it the way that I think real horror fans can.
And this is like I said, this is definitely like there are horror movies. That review that Dylan read is right. Those Conjuring movies rule. I love those Conjuring movies.
Not the third.
Well,
one,
the first
okay.
two. The first two Conjuring movies rule.
The third one is pretty funny. The third one is pretty funny.
The third one has a good movie in it, but we already talked about the third Conjuring movie.
Oh yeah.
But like I said when I picked, like when we started this, I've been saying it the entire time. This is my only like personal movie pick. This movie is what got me into horror. It is what stopped me from being a scared little kid. Like this movie is a personal movie for me. And I don't think I've ever watched it objectively as a movie. I just know what's going to happen. I know what's next. I know what's coming up. It's like very comforting movie for me because I know exactly what's going to happen at every second that it's going to happen.
Yeah. Also, did you have a hard time just focusing on this movie? Like, because like, there's a lot of times where you're like, I should just get my phone, or I probably should do the dishes. Like this movie, there's a lot of time, and I just find it meandering, and that's the thing. Like the special effects, super great. The fact that they're eating ham that's covered in chocolate syrup, I think that's so gross and so cool. And the thing is that what they said was they had to do less effects on the cast because they were all getting sick from eating the ham and chocolate sauce that they were getting green,
cool.
And they thought that looked cooler than any props they could do.
I think it's cool. They did a lot of stuff with the zombies that a lot of people wouldn't have thought of. Like if almost anybody else made the first zombie movie, they wouldn't have done like you see naked people who were, you know, I'm assuming that these people were like on the slab getting, you know, dissected or whatever. There are people in like their fancy clothes because they were being, you know, buried or whatever. They were in their funeral clothes. There's people in like shitty clothes because they had just died or whatever. There's like, and it's not like Return of the Living Dead where we have like zombies coming up out of the ground. They're all freshly dead. There's no like skeletonized anybody. Nobody's like flesh is falling off of their body. They're all freshly dead corpses, and we're not going to see anything other than that, because this is sort of the beginning of the whole thing. So yeah, the little stuff like that I really appreciate it, and I don't know, I think the only things that I saw that I would like sort of space out while it was on were those news reports. Like that one news report where they're following that guy around for entirely too long, like asking him, like when they find out about the radiation, I was like, all right, can we get back to what this movie is about?
Yeah, because the thing is, like, I love the character Ben. I think that character is so cool and so well written and so just calm. And with everybody else around him, I'm just like, shut up. Like,
I have something to read. 2 stars. Damn, some of this would have been avoided if some characters calmed down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's Barbara. If Barbara calmed down, seriously, she would have not got punched in the face. She would have not. She would have not been eerily quiet for it. It seemed weird when she did wake up. She's like, "What's wrong with me?" Huh? Yeah.
There's I did find myself focusing in on a character that I usually don't. But it was Mrs. Cooper. I was like, I was like really cool with Mrs. Cooper this time. I was like, this lady is the only one besides Ben who's sort of has her head screwed on straight.
Yeah.
I don't know what you guys are laughing at, but
Don't worry about it. It's not worth acknowledging.
Apparently it's the word vessel, which I find very funny right now. Red Flanagan says, I think that the meandering pace of the film is in a way naturalistic. It feels less artificially structured, more like things are being learned and happening in real time with a sense of urgency. No, I agree with all of that, except for like I said, when they go in this, okay, so there's this part when they go into the cellar, and there's such a weird cut where one guy's facing one way, there's such a weird cut, and he's facing their way. It's like, what's going on? So doing a lot of research, there was a 30-minute scene of just them talking down there about like what they were going to do and how they were going to, prepare even further. And say you left that in there, then the pacing would have been so wildly inaccurate. The pacing is in the very beginning, it's kind of slow, it's cool, you're getting creepy, and then it's like, oh, zombies, which I didn't know what they are. They're not called zombies, they're just
ghouls,
ghouls, undead, whatever. And they're really creepy looking. Because the one thing they couldn't do is they couldn't find a way to take pieces out of the actor's face. So they decided to just highlight the characters, like the actor's natural thing. So they highlighted their cheekbones. They highlighted certain things just to make it seem a little bit weird. And the one face that was upstairs, when they look at it, his eyes are ping pong balls, which is crazy.
Yeah.
Also, why didn't that person come back alive?
Don't worry about it.
But okay.
I mean, their head was destroyed. That head was
okay.
Destroyed.
That's fair.
Whatever happened to that person did what they needed to do and killed that brain. I think a lot of the stuff that Red Flanagan said it. I like that because this movie is the first time that this has ever happened. At this point, everybody thinks they know what would happen if there was like a zombie attack. Everybody's like, oh yeah, I'm ready with my zombie. 1968, nobody had any idea. These people had to learn slowly what was going on. Like, you see Ben shoot a couple of zombies like chest, and then they get, then they come back, and then he shoots him in the shoulder, and he's like, he comes back, and then he shoots him in the head. He's like, oh, okay, so these guys, he learns that they're afraid of fire. He learns that you have to shoot them in the head to actually put them down. Like, they are learning the stuff that's going on. They say it. Oh, 5 of them turned over my car. Cooper says, they flipped over my car. And I don't. Romero got
his trademark from his older commercials.
A lot better with that stuff.
No.
By Day of the Dead, it's a lot better in Dawn. It's a lot less meandering. It has more of a point. I don't think that this one has quite the social commentary that especially Dawn has. Like, Dawn, there's your like anti-capitalism thing. Day has your anti like military stuff. City has a lot of your anti like rich people stuff. This one is the first one of these movies, so everything is like downplayed. It has some race stuff in there, it has some class stuff in there, but it also has like zombies who are fresh, like freshly dead zombies. We're not talking about an extinction level event like these other movies have. This is a very subtle horror movie. And again, when you're 8 years old watching this with your mom, it's a scary movie. And again, I have no objectivity to this movie. I was actually like, when I watch it objectively, I'm like, oh no, how much of this shit is going to be horrible? But none of it was horrible because Romero was like horrible. Was like a good dude.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, when you watch like old Hitchcock movies, there are some of those that the pacing is just different than the way it is now. And the thing that I find so cool about this movie is they weren't trying to make a zombie movie, and obviously George Romero did not create the idea of the zombie. That was done in I Am Legend in the books, and they were trying to make like I said earlier, a weird alien movie where these adolescent aliens were meeting teenagers and then bringing back corpses, whatever. The cool thing to me about this, dude, I've done so much.
All
weird. The first, so this thing went through so many script changes. It was actually the first draft was a horror comedy, and it was under the title Monster Flick. It was an early screenplay draft concerned the exploits of adolescent aliens who visit Earth and befriend human teenagers. The second version of the script featured a young man who runs away from home and discovers rotting human corpses that aliens use for food scattered across the meadow. Russo came up with the concept that they'd be recently dead only because they couldn't afford to bring long dead people out of their graves.
Mm-hmm.
They also came up with the idea that they would be flesh eaters. The final draft, mainly written by Russo during 3 days in 1967, focused on reanimating human corpses. Romero referred to them as ghouls that consume the flesh of the living. So they were haphazardly slapping this movie together, creating a bunch of weird lore. Unlike every other movie that has lore, ghosts, mummies, the lore that he created has stuck throughout.
Mm-hmm.
It is always slow moving, brain eating things that need the brains destroyed to slow them down. The only real difference that I saw that I liked more in this movie than current zombies is that he gave the zombies the ability to like kind of think. Like you can see zombies like picking up bricks and using them and throwing stuff.
Yeah,
He did that throughout throughout this series. They slowly do learn. Like I think in Day is the first time one of them uses a gun, but in City, one's like using a gun and sort of is the leader of an army of the dead. So yeah, they do slowly learn throughout this, and I think that's one of the things that I do like about that. And I also sort of, even though I do watch this repeat it, like I've watched this movie probably 50 times in my life, and I didn't even think about them using the bricks to break the windows, because I was like, I didn't think that started until later in the series. But yeah, they do put down the thing where they can learn. I don't know if that's the best way to do it, but like, it's also not everybody. It doesn't seem like everybody is able to learn new things. It's certain ones, some sort of evolution of zombies, whatever. I don't think he ever like finished out what he was trying to do with the series before he died, but maybe he'll come back and direct the sixth one or whatever.
I've got one. 2 stars. This film aged like white people.
Oh, that's a good one.
And that's probably true. If anybody was looking for a zombie movie to start their their horror journey with, I don't think I would suggest this one.
No.
I mean, like, for the history of what this movie is and what it means to me, yeah, this is my one that I keep going back to. But if I were to introduce somebody to zombies today, I think I would go with something a little bit lighter, like
a Zack Snyder flick.
Yeah, Army of the Dead.
No, Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead remake was pretty fun.
Yep.
That might be, if they were into like a serious horror movie, I would probably go with that. But like, probably something like Shaun of the Dead, something a little bit lighter. Like, that's a real fun one.
What about like 28 Days Later?
I don't like the second half of 28 Days Later. Once they get into that army base, it gets real rapey and creepy, and it sort of doesn't let up, and it really turned me off to the second half of that movie. I mean, I get what they were doing in the second half of 28 Days Later, and unfortunately that's probably what would happen, but I didn't really want to watch it as much as it was. Like, if they would have escaped a little bit sooner or something. But yeah, the second half of that movie really bums me out, man.
It's probably doing its job then.
Yeah, no, it's very effective in what it's doing, but it's not something I want to watch. Period. But yeah, this, like I said, this movie, it's just for me, and this is my number one pick for this reason. It's a comfort movie for me. I talked about it with Back to the Future. Like, I've seen Back to the Future a bunch of times. I know exactly what's going to happen. I'm not surprised by anything, but it's like comfort food. It's like eating a big pile of mashed potatoes with gravy, and it's just, all right, well, here it comes. These two teenagers are about to get exploded in this pickup truck. And then,
yeah, I will say this movie does for zombies what what Clockwork Orange does for rapists. I couldn't even get that out of my mouth. I'm sorry.
Wow.
That was my edgy pick.
I'll bring us
when
back.
I was an edgy from when I was an edgy 23-year-old.
An edgy teenager.
Dylan, you got a hipster movie review for us on this one?
Yeah, 2 stars. As much as I appreciated its influence, I found this a rather stale piece of bread.
Okay, honestly, I wrote that.
It's not bad.
I'm still going to go with my
sure?
hanging out with the 2 mall walkers behind the mall walkers. That's my analogy that I'm going to stick with. Zach, you are streaming the film in your window just to do public domain flex.
He's talking about the icon up in the top right.
No, it's a weird GIF. It didn't work out the way I thought it would.
We could also do Con Air, actually.
Yeah, that's probably the best one. Yeah.
I have one more I want to read. 1.5 stars. Manlets lose again, I guess. Sad face.
Manlets?
Manlets. It refers to short men. It's an internet term.
Menlets?
Oh,
manlet.
Is that
like
an
manlet
incel thing?
Yeah, kinda.
God, fucking
okay.
Those
and
people.
The last
I'd
one
rather
I want
deal
to
with
read.
zombies than incels.
The last one I want to read that I thought was pretty charming. 2 stars. Amazon Video. That's it.
I also wrote that one today because the only one I could find was one in color. And I was like, well, it's better than 1 star, I guess.
The one on Amazon is in color, and I started watching it, and I'm like, whoa, this is not a great colorization.
The one on Pluto TV is the.
I watched it on YouTube.
Yeah, the weird
black and white.
The weird thing is, if you watch it on Amazon Prime where it's colorized, Barbara has like a circle of like Caucasian color over her, and when she moves, there's like a little bit of a lag, and it's your makeup's coming off.
I remember in high school, I took a photography class, and one of our assignments was to colorize an old photo, and I realized I was not good at like accurate colorization. And my teacher let me know, and it reminded me of that assignment. It's just big old, super saturated, very badly faded brush.
Yeah, it was this is what white people are going to look like in the future. Their hue is off.
Yeah, this is. Yeah, what do we got here? Well, is there anything like in particular? Were there any scenes or anything like when I was watching it? You can tell that this is Romero's first director movie. Like, this is the first movie that he directed. But there's still a lot of really cool, like, especially when Barbara escapes from the car and she comes out of the woods and is running down the street. Like, I don't know why, but I really noticed the way that movie the way that shot looked. The way it was on a like sort of a steady cam following right behind her. It looked really cool. There's a scene when she first gets to, like, when she first sees the house, it reminds me of that painting. Like, it's framed like that painting where the girl is like laying in the field looking up at the house. It reminded me of that. Like, a lot of the shots are very painting-like.
The shots are cinematic and they're well done. And I think that you could just tell how clever they were in doing a lot of it. Like, trying to learn, at least for me, and maybe possibly maybe Dylan can say so, but trying to learn how to make movies, you really are trying to learn how to shoot anything. Mm-hmm. You really have to like, shit, I didn't expect this. How can I make this? Now watching them go through and like looking at the windows being haphazardly covered, but then later coming back and having them have to cut off people's fingers. I thought that was a possible, like, really interesting call out and then pay through or payout. But yeah, the shots are cool. My problem is every actor in this outside of Ben is so just unsavory that I was hoping the zombies would just take over.
Yeah, Cooper's terrible, Barbara's terrible, the teenagers are whatever. But again, Mrs. Cooper I was like enamored with, because she is chewing up the scenery. She's like trying to be Audrey Hepburn, and it's like shining through it. I'm like, this is cheesy, but like in the best possible way.
Yeah.
And I was really into her this time for some reason. Again, I have no idea why. But she was really chewing the scenery, and compared to some of the abysmal acting, especially from like the teens, are awful.
Ugh, yeah. But the weird thing is that Ben stands out as such a great actor.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for Ben, I could say that this movie could easily slink into like the B film kind of schlockiness. There's something about the sincerity of Ben, and maybe it's being one of the first like lead, black actors, or the first time that the character was there not because of the race. It didn't really seem to make, like, they didn't point out that he was black. Like,
no,
and that's obviously that's cool. And it must have been
cool.
weird in the late 60s, to not have that be a thing, but also might have been interesting that it wasn't a thing. And I think it's what happens because of this movie is what makes this movie so beautifully done. Because everything after this is great because of this film, because of the way Romero had to put things together, because of the cleverness that what's the special effects guy, Savini?
Harpo?
Dude,
Tom Savini.
I absolutely hate you. Now, Tom Savini, who this was his first real thing, anything. Although he went on to do his own, he directed one of the zombie movies as well. But Savini is like a master craftsman.
He directed that Tony Todd remake.
Yeah, and that's very good.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, but he's also known for like Creep Show and like Dusk Till Dawn and some of the Friday the 13th. So he's a name in the horror industry because of what the things that he had to create. So he was also, he had an awesome role in Maniac where he gets his head absolutely exploded inside of a car. And he was the actor, and he also did the special effects. Oh, cool.
So I saw an interview with Savini where he's like, it was really weird because we worked really hard on that head. And then I had to blow up my own head.
Hell yeah.
That's cool. All right. So because Michael, because you are a fan of horror, I quickly Googled quickly, fast and furiously. I Googled top rated zombie films, and it gave me the top 20 rated zombie films, and I'm going to quickly go over with them. And I want you to tell me if Night of the Living Dead is better or worse.
Okay.
Top rated zombie film. 28 Days Later. We've already spoke on that. You don't like the second half, which I guess is the second 2 weeks. Shaun of the Dead.
I'm gonna are we talking rated higher by like
do you
Metacritic
like it more?
Or
no? Do you like it more?
Oh yes, I do like Shaun of the Dead more.
All right, Zombieland 1.
No.
Okay, I think you're wrong there. Dawn of the Dead.
The Romero?
Yes.
Yeah, I do like that better. Yes.
Train to Busan.
Never saw that one.
Train to Busan is very good.
Okay, seriously, if you have Hulu,
I do.
Check out Train to Busan tonight.
Okay. It's very good.
It'll blow your mind. Imagine a zombie horde on a bullet train.
It's zombies and
Snowpiercer.
Ice Train. Snowpiercer, there it is. Ice Train.
Ice Train, Good Sweaters. What's that movie? Okay, next one. World War Z. Old Brad Pitt.
I liked World War Z, but it
Shit.
was a spectacle zombie movie. No.
Have you read the book, Michael?
Yeah.
I did.
Okay,
It's nothing like it.
It's nothing like it. So yeah, no.
The
I
book
agree.
is awesome, but I
On its own, the movie's a fine piece.
yeah,
of
I was
film,
surprised
whatever.
at how much I liked that movie, but it is just a spectacle.
Yeah,
I will say it's pretty stupid.
Yeah, it's
a lot
really
of a lot of the
stupid.
story stuff is really dumb.
yeah, I agree. All right, we have Dead Alive.
Is that the volleyball video game?
Dead Alive is Peter Jackson.
Yep.
That one, the unrated version of that is like super cool, and I will watch that over and over as well. But I don't like it as much as Night of the Living Dead. No, I
How
do like
about-
when the old lady's face falls into the pudding,
Yeah.
and
How
when the
about
priest gets impaled through a statue of Jesus. Very, very good.
Love a good Jesus impaling.
Always love a good Jesus impaling. Not as much as the Romans, though. What about
Zing.
Whoa. How about Reanimator?
I'm gonna pitch in here. Reanimator, I enjoyed way more than I like this movie.
Yep.
I think I might like Reanimator better.
All right. Planet Terror.
Planet Terror is okay.
Wrong. Resident Evil.
No, no.
right.
The first one,
Yeah.
Mila
Yeah, just-
Jovovich,
yeah, well,
directed by
she's-
her
okay.
husband.
She's an old. Wait.
Yeah.
Paul
Yeah.
Anderson is her husband?
Yes.
Whoa.
Yep. Absolutely.
Why do you think she
So-
keeps getting work?
I was about to say
all of
that.
his
That's why she
movies.
keeps getting weird movies.
He did Monster Hunter too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which should
Monster-
be our
no.
next special edition.
Monster Hunter's pretty good. Well, our
Oh,
next
never
special
mind.
edition is actually locked into place.
Well, Monster
Oh.
Hunter has Tony Jaa in it, so it's going to be good. Yes.
I'll watch.
All right.
How about Paranorman?
Paranorman, I didn't love.
It's good.
It's good.
It's good.
I would rather watch Monster House if I'm going to watch an
Yeah.
animated, like, scary movie.
You know,
Yeah.
Dan Harmon and his writing partner wrote that in a weekend, high on cocaine.
Yeah,
I thought.
I'm
Yeah.
sure.
I thought it was Monster House.
Monster House. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I'm
that's
saying.
what we're talking
Oh,
about.
I
I'd
thought
rather
you were
watch
talking about
Monster
Paranorman.
House.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Oh,
I was like, ugh.
I'd rather watch Frankenweenie than Paranorman.
Well, yeah, Frank is cute. Last couple of going to breeze through. So you got Return of the Living Dead, obviously. You got I Walked with a Zombie, Night of the Comet, Night of the Creeps, White Zombie, Cemetery Man, Wreck, which I think is short for record.
yeah, the Spanish one.
Oh,
Yeah.
Wreck is good. That's the first one
Wreck
that
is
even
scary.
Is
Wreck
it?
is the only one that even got like a second thought
Yeah.
from the
Um,
ones you just listed.
Dead Snow, Warm Bodies.
Dead
and-
Snow rules.
Yeah.
Warm Bodies is like tween, like
Yeah, that's a little YA.
cute
Dead-
hot
Dead-
topic stuff. Yeah, it's
Dead
fine.
Snow rules, but I don't like it better than Night of the Living Dead.
But the cool thing is, every single one of those movies that I just named, that
Yeah.
may or may not be more fun, may or not be better, may or may not, definitely may be more exciting to watch. But each one of those is listed in its special thanks of Night of the Living Dead. This
Yeah.
movie has spawned so much beautiful creativity that you have to like this because of where it's from. It's almost like hating my parents because I'm so cool. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Which I do hate them. Probably not because I'm cool, but it's just a give and take thing.
Side effect. Side
so, yeah,
effect is
This is a total side effect. Yeah. Now the thing is I wasn't excited. I wasn't hesitant when this movie came up to rewatch again. I was like, cool, this is a classic. Let me set this in here. Obviously, it's in the Criterion mix, which has been a really cool thing. Apparently, Criterion has roughly the same taste as we do without Phil Better.
Yeah, we are just as tasteful as the Criterion collection.
That's
and
true.
we have the same amount of influence as well.
Yes,
Yes.
but not the same amount of issues just yet. But yeah, I absolutely respect this movie, and it's cool watching it because you almost can't watch it as though it's an original film anymore. You have to watch it, and you have to see the layers of what happened because of it. You have to see this is why Shaun of the Dead is so cool because they set the parameters here. And the thing is, like when you watch mummy movies, mummies do anything. Abbott and Costello mummy versus Tom Cruise's mummy, they do wildly different stuff. Some have 4 pupils, some wear toilet paper. But the zombies are always the same because of what Romero has done. And I think that is such a special thing to happen in movies. And
when they try to change it, it's almost always bad.
Yeah, no, I agree.
28 Days Later, I think, did the best job with their like reworking of zombies. I think the 28 Days Later zombies are awesome.
28 Days Later is the reason that fast zombies exist.
Yeah, the way that like you get exposed to that blood and you're just instantly a zombie. Like the rage, the way that it's the mutated rabies virus.
Yeah,
like very, very cool. I appreciate everything that 28 Days Later does. I just don't want to watch it because of stated issues.
Yeah, sure.
But like the zombies in it are great. Like it has great ideas in there. But yeah, nothing would have happened without this George Romero original. It's like the Beatles of horror movie.
Yeah, you're right. And I was trying to make a comparison to anything else that is watching almost the origin of a genre.
Yeah.
You know, like you watch Star Wars, because that was my first thought. I was like, oh, it's like watching A New Hope again. But it's not, because A New Hope is ripped off of, Flash Gordon, which is ripped off of other serials.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to try to think like, okay, what was the last just created out of nothing genre? And it's so hard to think of the beginning of one of those. And I don't think that I could find a movie that is the beginning and the rule maker, especially like the way this movie just popped. And it's so cool because I do not like this film, but I love this movie. And it was so hard for me to like watch and try to hang out with, but then also talk bad about at the same time, because you're like, some of my favorite films are solely because somebody watched this and was like, I can't be better than this. Let me just try to do my version of this. And I think that's a clever way. And that is something that if you can put your stamp on art, you can link it back to like the origin point. This is where it started. That's cool.
The only thing I could think of was the Beatles. It's like, you listen to rock and roll, those people were influenced by the Beatles. You watch a horror movie, that person was influenced by George Romero. There's no getting around it. Like,
but the weird thing is that the Beatles were also influenced by somebody.
Yeah.
George Romero he set out to do something so different, but because of the problems that he had to create something that ended up being more different than what he was trying to do. If you come out in the late 60s with a weird alien movie about taking over Body Snatchers, obviously everyone's seen that. And to find the origin of Body Snatchers, good luck with that, because that goes way back to Abbott and Costello time, way back to Charlie Chaplin times.
Those alien movies, you can't it was like the train coming out of the tunnel, and then the next thing that happened were aliens coming down from outer space.
That's it. It's like, wait, there's humans, so there's obviously aliens. But when it came to zombies, it was just it's so cool because you're watching like a chef create a brand new dish that you never really knew could have been a dish. But after it, you're like, well, obviously, like, why weren't people eating this forever?
Yeah, this has always been around.
Yeah, and to watch a film that does that, I think it's remarkable, and you really can't pinpoint that. And I didn't expect to have those kind of feelings with a pseudo schlocky zombie movie. So it's a problem because there was no budget, there was nobody with any sort of money. It felt this time I was watching it and I'm like, you can definitely see Sam Raimi's, like, how he got influence from this. Like, he did the same sort of thing. Obviously, like, Romero was his inspiration for like some of the stuff. So even some of the stuff that was happening, I was like, oh, that's a Sam Raimi shot. Like, and this is the very beginning of all of it. And cool. I can totally see this movie not being enjoyable to watch. I totally see that. For me, it's not that. Like, I totally love watching this movie. I'll watch every second of this movie at least once a year. I watch it. It's just,
deeply a personal movie towards me, but I also think it's a really good movie. I like.
Yeah, and I think that this would be the closest to, in my world, somebody who's never seen Princess Bride and then watching it now and being like, I don't know if I got it. And you're like, yeah, but this is everything that it's supposed to be. It's kind of like that. It's like, this is exactly what zombie movies are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is that it was done and redone and redone and redone so many times that you're like, I guess it's supposed to be just a nonstop horde in my face and blood and eyeballs popping out. But it's like,
yeah,
no, like sit in the urgency. Like, it's crazy.
Once you get used to modern zombies, watching these guys fight over some like soggy garden hose,
hell yeah,
like,
oh yeah,
it's not very scary. But also, what he did, it's like also the zombies, not again, the fighting. Like when Ben's beating up Cooper, it looks like absolute garbage. When Ben's like pretending to hit zombies with a crowbar, probably because they couldn't afford a prop crowbar, so he's using a real crowbar and trying not to hurt the actor who's the zombie. Like, he's very gentle with the crowbar, and it does look bad. But for the most part, the ham, the pig intestines and stuff, it's being shot in the dark with like just fire as lighting.
Yeah.
So they did
cool.
a very good job at covering up most of the things that look bad. It's just when there's action going on, it looks terrible.
Just when they're cutting up, when he's attacking the zombie hand with a knife, and he's just going,
yeah.
And you can see little pieces of hot dog falling out of a glove or something. I'm like,
I was gonna say,
this is
looks
cute.
Like spam.
This is what we did in high school.
Yeah,
but like, that was the equivalent back in the 60s. That's cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I had a good time with it. I was bored at times, but I still, it was the best kind of bored that I could have been.
This was it was the first time I watched it where a scene stuck out as not being a perfect thing that I love every second of. And it was just that one scene where they're following the guy to his car talking about the radiation. I'm like, this is about 2 minutes too long.
And the cellar. Whatever.
I don't have any problems with anything that happens in the cellar.
They don't need to be done. Anyway. All right. So before we get to reels and goodbyes, I just will, Dylan has a very special announcement that he wants to make.
Hang on. Let me I got to get my hanky.
Okay.
All right. Well, before he makes that announcement,
this is perfect for people who listen to the episode after it airs. This is fantastic.
Listening to Michael search for a hanky. It's literally the equivalent of watching the second half of this movie. Okay. So special announcement. We only have one more actual episode of this season to go. Next Monday will be our last official episode. It is my #1 favorite film of all time, called True Romance. Dylan, that is, I think that's racist. Don't do that.
Oh no!
Really uncalled for, pal. Okay, but because in light of holidays and because my birthday is coming up, my #1 favorite movie is coming up, and for us to end season 1 of The Real Boys on exactly 69 episodes, I'm gonna
nice.
I'm gonna. Nice. I'm going to throw out a red yellow card. What is a soccer term for a caution or a
timeout?
What about football where you're like, that's not the play I wanted to call?
There has to be somebody in the podcasting sphere that has some sort of sports knowledge.
You can bet that.
Unfortunately, we don't have access to any of those people.
All right, let's say that I'm going to call a mobile? No, that's not it. Motion? No, that's a law term.
An
audible. Audible.
An audible. That's the one.
An audible.
You did it. You're the sports guy on the show now.
Sponsored by Audible?
OMG, I'm the sports guy. You can bet that. So here's the audible that I'm gonna throw. All right, so because we normally do our special editions on Fridays, this Friday happens to be my birthday. And because we are one short of 69 total episodes, and I find that just giggly, I am going to make sure that we have an episode. Yellow card would have worked. Xeno Knox, where have you been? Because I could have used that. Yeah, okay. I'm going to throw yellow.
Dead.
No, he's reanimated for this show.
Not you, Zach. Xeno Knox.
Yellow card. I'm throwing a yellow card out there.
No,
I love yellow card.
He's not dead. And if you listen to I Love This Terrible Game, you would know that he's not dead because he's one of my hosts on that show.
Yeah,
I don't listen to
know.
podcasts.
He was just making a zombie reference, Colby. Anyway,
I know.
I
was just trying to get a plug in there.
Oh,
Wiseman.
You know we're about to do plugs in like a second. Anyway,
I know.
This Friday,
get an extra one.
Zach,
New
what are we
Year's
doing?
Eve, we're going to do the 2011 mega failure that is known as New Year's Eve. 7% Rotten Tomatoes, 22% Metacritics. Now, let me tell you real quick what this movie is about. It's intertwining stories that promise love, hope, forgiveness, second chances, and more for a number of New Yorkers on this celebrated night. My birthday.
Is this the one with Taylor Swift in it?
No, this is the one with a rock star named John Bon Jovi and his ex-lover, Katherine Heigl. And they clash an exclusive party. A singer, Leah Michelle, comes stranded with a killjoy, Ashton Kutcher, obviously. And on the way to a New Year's gig, a nurse, Halle Berry, wink, wink, stays on a dying patient, Robert De Niro, so it's got Oscar buzz.
Wink, wink.
And he tries to hang on long enough just to see his balls drop in Times Square one last time. See the ball drop in Times Square one last time. You can find this.
I can't believe that for your birthday, you're making us watch a fucking Bon Jovi movie.
If anybody knows me, they know my favorite thing to do is watch very bad movies and complain about them. New Year's Eve.
This looks like trash.
This is going to be absolute trash.
Okay,
all right, well, now I want to watch New Year's Eve.
Now I have to. Okay.
Nope, you're up there.
Are we not doing a
a
retrospective?
We will be doing a retrospective after the last episode.
Will that be our 69th episode?
That is number 69.
Nice.
And that's where we're actually going to review every one of our own shows reviewing movies. We're going to quickly go through all 68 of those episodes and review how we did reviewing movies that we don't care about anymore.
I am not listening to nor watching any of our old episodes.
Anyway, tune in this Friday. Phil just better. No, that didn't work out. Full disclosure. Go ahead.
I was going to do acid on New Year's Eve, so I can't guarantee that I will be all here.
Yeah, okay. Nobody, fine.
All right. Find out if that call forward is going to pay off. And
so
whenever you listen to the next episode.
Find out how acid head Dylan thinks about Ashton Kutcher on New Year's Eve, aka Zach's birthday. Okay, so
I think that's just a cop out to not watch the movie like I did with what was that movie that I didn't watch? White Men Can't Jump.
The last
you were on
6?
acid?
No, I said I was on mushrooms. Do you not pay attention?
I don't listen to our shows.
Don't you remember that great bit where he tried to say it was
that
every
great
other
bit
movie?
where nobody yes-anded me, everybody no-ud me.
Zach accused me of not watching that movie. I did, so I don't know what to tell you.
Listen, you are complaining that we didn't set you up in a volleyball spike when, like, you brought the wrong ball to the game. Like, we're like, oh, let's really get in this movie. And you're like, I was on mushrooms and I saw this in the back of a Pinto. And we're
my ball was blade shaped.
He's
it was Wesley Snipes' head shaped.
I thought this movie was about Woody Harrelson shooting zombies. Yeah,
no.
And
Rampart?
I saw this movie on a demo tape at a Walmart. Like, okay,
cool.
And
I may have seen it in a demo tape at an FYE.
Oh, that's fair.
You know, there's a sequel to New Year's Eve called Mother's Day. It's another one of those ensemble comedies.
Oh yeah, I've already seen that one too.
Huh.
Anyway,
Julia Roberts has possibly the worst haircut I've ever seen on that poster. Holy hell!
Probably, except for maybe John Bon Jovi and New Year's Eve. We're going to find out Friday. So you can tune in at 8 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Mountain Time. And that's what we're going to talk about New Year's Eve.
In case you're not doing anything better on New Year's Eve 2021.
I'm not doing anything better.
I guess I'm not.
You can also watch it anytime afterwards, Dylan. You have to watch it exactly live, you prick.
Oh,
God, it's just out there. And if you,
you
got
wanted
nothing
this
to do,
to be a live show.
and if you got nothing to do at 6 p.m. on New Year's Eve, which doesn't matter at all, watch us review a shitty movie.
Do acid with me. It'll be great.
What we could do is make it later and then just ring in the new year.
Oh my God. Okay, listen. How about we record this tomorrow and put it out so you pricks can do your friggin' drugs on some random
Christ
birthday?
Almighty, I do
don't
not
think
want to
you
watch a Bon
understand.
Jovi movie tonight.
I don't think you understand. I'm going to be doing acid whenever we air the show. So, like, it was not tied to the holiday. It's tied
Whether
to
we
the
record it or
episode.
not, whenever the episode airs, Dylan will be doing acid. Honestly,
yeah.
I'll probably do mushrooms. Who cares? It's my
Cool.
birthday. Either way, this Friday, New Year's Eve, the day, the movie, the review. Next Monday, Zach
I
Wiseman's
wonder
number
my
one.
parents are watching this.
I hate all of you. Okay, let's get out reels and goodbyes. Michael Colby, tell us who to start with. You're the host.
Oh, Dylan.
I hate this terrible show.
That's
Me
Michael's
too.
next show.
I'm leaving this after this season.
I have
Wait,
an
no,
announcement
that's
today.
Dylan's announcement. He's reading the
Michael Colby is
Too late.
leaving
He
the
took
Real
too-
Boys
he
after
took too
69
long to go.
episodes.
Michael, you're reading the wrong part of the script as usual.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I forgot that we script every word that we say before we
A
start.
lot of work
Well,
goes into this show.
Dylan
yeah.
and I do. You try to bring this improv bullshit every week.
Well, you know that I don't know how to read. God.
Yeah, me neither. Anyway,
Yes,
this gets a
and?
5 out of 10. 5 out of 10.
All right, that's not bad.
It would have got
Ow!
if it didn't have a place in like film legacy, it would have gotten a 4.
Mr. Dylan, who doesn't like to give out odd numbers,
Not really, but I'll bump it up.
last
on
4
occasion.
movies gives out odd numbers.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to give this movie 5 out of 10 reels also. I
Wow.
simultaneously hated and adored this movie. I wanted to just go to the bathroom for something to do, but I had to keep the door open so I could hope something happened. Everything that comes because of this movie, I loved it. I just need these old people in the mall to walk faster or to tell a better story. That's it. 5 out of 10. Beautiful movie. I wish I liked it more. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well,
Just remember, Michael, this isn't personal. You are a straight 7.
that's fine. That's better than I usually get.
It's all the
But-
beard. Don't shave.
I have
Yeah.
I have no objectivity towards this movie. I've said that. I've said it since the beginning. Where this movie is going to get a higher than average because I'm giving it a 10 because this is my I like more movies than this, but this
Sure.
is my favorite movie to watch.
All right.
Your favorite movie doesn't
again,
have to be a 10.
there is no objectivity
Yeah.
in my brain for this movie. This is nothing short of the best movie I've ever seen because it's so ingrained inside of my
Yeah,
head.
that's fair. That's fair. It needs more and less Dutch angles, I think. That's the problem with that's one of the few problems with this movie. Okay, so yeah, you can listen to Michael and all of his beautiful sounds and melodic tones that his mouth and sometimes nose air makes on all of his hits, such as I Love This Terrible Game. Jack Billings Presents. I'm gonna let him say the other ones because if I get it wrong at all, he's gonna send me a very aggressive and passively also aggressive email.
I Love This Terrible Game is a video game where we talk about video games. Generation Clash is a music podcast with me and my child talking about music from our respective generations and trying to get the other ones to like it. And Jack Billings Presents Haunted Apartment Complex, now on the Podmoth Network. My absolute passion project. It's the thing that if I only could do one thing, that would be the thing that I would do, would be Jack Billings Presents Haunted Apartment Complex. And if you want to give us some money to do Jack Billings Presents Haunted Apartment Complex, patreon.com/Jack Billings.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing is something that you guys are also on. So Jesus Christ.
Hey, you're on our
Good-
show, pal.
good thing that the listeners can't see that. But the other thing that I do is also involves you guys, so I'm gonna let one of you guys talk about that one.
Me? Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Dylan from Some Nobodies with Zach. My screen on Zach cut out. Like he's not moving, so
Yeah, Zach's not.
I thought
moving
he
on
was
my
just
screen.
I thought he was messing
Really?
around. No.
Oh.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm
Still?
doing some nobodies. Go to
Yep.
all of some nobody stuff. Silicon Angels twitching up stream every Tuesday live. Podcast, a podcast show. CYOP Appeal. It's a Choose Your Own Adventure podcast. We've got the Real Boys. Zach's screen is black now.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Get that GIF of Nicolas Cage bigger so it fills in that.
There it is. Okay.
Okay.
What a face. Anyway, so that's hey, there it is.
Hey, there he is.
Zach is in prison now.
No, I had to go back to some nobody's studios for this.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
mother
cool.
green screen broke.
So yeah, go listen to all of some nobody stuff. We do fun things. We've got some more stuff in production, some audio
That's true.
drama stuff.
Yeah.
And you can follow me at Vorpal Words on everything. I'm getting back into Twitter, and I've donned my radiation suit and gas mask because that place is a goddamn war zone. I hate it.
Oh, I thought you
But I'm on
were
it.
saying it because you usually do Twitter in the bathroom.
Well, yes. Zach,
Yeah.
when you live this way I do, every room's a bathroom.
That's true.
I'm Dylan. Zach, to you.
I'm Zach. Back to you, Dylan.
Thanks, Zach. You can check out Zach at all of the Some Nobody stuff that I just listed. He's also got his own things out there. Zach, go ahead and list what you're doing.
Thanks, Dylan. Back to you, Dylan.
You've been watching a lot of that stuff I sent you. Anyway, thanks for watching The Real
Yeah,
Boys,
I don't
everybody.
really have anything specific coming out. I have a bunch of things I'm working on, such as Zackalodian, the history of Nickelodeon. You probably will also find The Answer is number 42, which will be a 42 episode series on why the number 42 is actually not relevant whatsoever. You can find out why the number 51 is relevant if you tune in tomorrow on Twitching Upstream, which is mine and Dylan's live show where we just do a whole bunch of content creation with random freaks that show up in the comments section.
Is that where you're talking about the number 23, the Jim Carrey movie?
No, that's where we did that last week. Dylan charged me with finding out all the relevance to number 51, and that's what we're going to go over tomorrow. Because I tried to throw a bunch of random info on 42, which turns out that it's just a number. That's it. It's just a number.
Douglas Adam has never said anything else.
So we have roughly 3 more episodes of Real Boys, but yeah, come find us anywhere. We like to talk, we like attention, and we appreciate you. So let us know what you think about Michael Colby's favorite film, Night of the Living Dead, or Night of the Flesh Eaters, or Flesh Monsters, or whatever it was originally called. We would love to hear it or read it in the comments below. While you're down there, feel free to give that little subscribe button a tickle, and the like button also, and I'll make sure I try not to make my voice crack ever again because I'm a grown-ass man. But until next time, guys, we appreciate you. Drink some water.
Bye.
Colby, what are you doing?
Michael, say something so I can cut you off with the outro music.
No.
Get you, Barbara.
Stop it. You're ignorant.
They're coming for you, Barbara.
Stop it. You're acting like a child.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
He'll hear you.
And now for something completely different.
Yes, I do. I was just coming.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and
Wax off. Left hand.
It's an inanimate fucking object.
I drink your milkshake. I drink it up!